What up, Tube, and welcome back to another tutorial by Big Al's Barber channel. Before we get started, I encourage you guys to please subscribe to our channel and click that bell button so every time we drop a new video you get a notification we're dropping a new tutorial for you guys. So what we're getting started on this haircut right here, guys, is we're gonna do this guy came in all grubby. What we're gonna do is we're gonna knock down the top to a 1.5 razor fade on the sides, razored with a straight razor, and then we're gonna do a nice beard trim on him. So what we're getting started quickly is we're gonna start off with our Oster octane, and what we did is we'll put our 1.5 Oster blade on there, and we're just evening out the top, evening the top and around the crown, making sure everything's nice and even. Okay, you got a lot of hair right here, so we're just taking it all nice and tight. This is one of my weekly customers here, so if I move quickly, it's because I've done this haircut many a times. But he came in pretty crabby today, so I decided, hey, you know what, it's a good time to do a video here. So in reality and in real time, this haircut took me probably about 25 minutes. So you know, we moved pretty quickly across this haircut. As always, guys, as you guys know, I'm listing all my tools that I'm using in these haircuts. I'm letting you guys know what I'm using, and all the tools are listed in my description in case you guys want to order them for yourselves. So once we did the 1.5 all the way across the top, we're left it all nice and even. What I'm going to do right here is I'm grabbing my Andes GTX Scalaterized trimmer, and I'm going to create my first guideline. And basically, I'm starting off right about eye level, and I'm going to create that first guideline all the way around. Many people do this different, guys. Many people think that you shouldn't go from the middle down or from the top down. They should go from the bottom up instead. That way you don't create a hard line right there, because that hard line right there is a little difficult to get out if you don't know what you're doing. But with the proper steps, it's not that hard. As you guys know, as always, I always do my fades. I do them in 3 sections. I do the right side, back side, and then the other side. So right here, we're creating that first guideline. As you can see, basically it's just a regular GTX Andes trimmer. And what I did is I scalaterized it by cutting out the top. If you guys don't know how to do that and you guys are interested in doing that, there is a video in my library where you can find shows you how to scalaterize this trimmer. It's very simple. Again, guys, this haircut moves around really quick, so you know, we just create that first guideline all the way around. So you know, basically, this is a simple fade. It's, you know, it's 1.5 on top and 0 on the sides, razored, and from there we're just gonna blend out the sides right here. So once we did that, what we're gonna do, we already did the number 1.5 on top. So basically, what I'm coming in here with is I'm coming in with my number one detachable blade, and my detachable guard. It's the number 1 with the lever closed, which is a number 1, and I'm just going right up and just taking it all nice and even, because the top was a 1.5. So on the side, you're just going with a number 1, lever closed, no lever action, no nothing, real simple. Just get it all nice and smooth. And as always, like I told you guys, I fade in 3 sections. I don't go all the way around the head. I do 1 section first, and then I move along to the other section. And right here, what I did is I moved my lever open. With my lever open, I went across, created a guideline. Now I went across, I dropped my notch, my lever, 1 notch, and now I'm just going across again. Now I lower my lever 1 more notch, and now I'm only going across halfway. As I go across, you see me, I'm raking the bottom line, just raking it and pulling up. Now my lever's completely closed, and I'm just working on that bottom line. That bottom line is difficult to get out, as you saw right there. So just kind of with the lever machine closed, and I'm just raking that bottom line, just raking it. If you have difficulty getting that bottom line right there, you're gonna see what I'm gonna do right there just to get it out, because it is difficult to get out. You might not be able to, but basically it's just dragging it across, raking it, pulling up. Right here, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna grab my GTX trimmer, and that little dark spot right there, I'm just gonna come in and little C motion again. Take that little shadow and push it up. Get it out of there. Now we're gonna come in with our half clip. And what I did right there, before I put the half clip, I came back in just to clean up, because you see the little shadow, that little I call that a secondary shadow, right before the guy that we created with the half. And that dark shadow right there, now I call that the half shadow. So what we need to get the half shadow out, we need the half clip. Half clip, lever open, and just drag it across. As I drag it across, I lower my lever 1 notch, go across it again. Then I lower my lever another notch, and I'm going the other opposite way. For me, moving the lever is automatic. You know, I can move that lever with one hand. Some people need that other finger to move it. It's just up to you. This is a speed. You know, the faster you do this haircut, the more money you're gonna make. It's just repetitious, guys. Don't get discouraged if you're slow at doing these haircuts. Don't think that it's always gonna be this easy. If I make it look easy, it's only because I've been doing this for a lot of years. So, you know, it's just repetitious. You will get fast, you will get better, but you need to do these haircuts. Avoiding it is not going to help you. So right there, I'm just working on just basically fading out that shadow right there, getting it all nice and even. You can see, and it's just a matter of working your lever. You got to work the lever up and down, and make sure you get it all blended in. Now we're done with that side. We're gonna come to the back side. Same thing. We're putting the number one clip, lever closed, not open, because the top is a 1.5. Remember, there's no moving the lever. We're gonna start off with a number 1. If you have the lever open, it's a 1.5. So lever closed is a 1, and we're just basically fading it out, getting it all nice and light. See right there, a little dark spot. So I decided to go back there and double check my spot. My machine wasn't cutting properly, so I swap it out from my other one, my other Babyliss. I have 2 Babylisses, and you're gonna see it's gonna take that right off. Look at that. Boom. The other one wasn't cutting. That one comes in to save the day. That's why it's good to have sometimes. I like to have 2 of each machine for that very reason, because they're identical machines, but for some reason one will cut better than the other at different times. So now that I went with that number 1, it's all even. Number 1. I'm gonna take. Right now I'm gonna take off that clip, and I'm gonna create another guideline. But first, I'm just getting it all nice and even. Remember, we went with the 1.5 on top first, and then we came back with the number 1. So now we take off our clip, and we're gonna create another guideline all the way across, 1 inch. Go across. Now we're gonna lower my lever 1 notch and go back up almost to the same spot again. Almost to the same spot. Maybe a little bit, fraction of a milliliter down. Then we're gonna go back 1 notch, only going halfway up. Now we're gonna lower my lever all the way closed, and I'm just raking the bottom line, just raking it up. And all I have is a little bit of a shadow at the bottom. And right now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my GTX, Andy's GTX, and I'm gonna rake that little lever, that little shadow up, coming right there. See? It's all repetitious, guys. These are all the same steps for all fades. Guarantee you that. Even if the hair is a little bit longer, you still gotta do the same steps, especially on a fade. So all we have left is a secondary shadow right there. That's a half shadow, and we use a half clip to get the half shadow out. You go across, lever open, rake it, lower my lever a quarter way, and I'm gonna rake it again. Go across the same shadows, all the way across. And you can see it blending right up. Once I go across it, then I'm gonna lower my lever halfway now, and I'm gonna keep just dragging it across those dark spots. It'll all blend right in. Fading is all repetitious, guys. It's the more you do it, the better you're gonna get at it. I guarantee you this. Is just sometimes, you know, I remember when I first started cutting hair, and the fade was my worst haircut, and I would sometimes avoid it. Lever close right up into the top. Remember, the top was a 1.5, so a lever close is the number 1, and we're just basically just lightening everything up, basically worrying about the top towards the crown. Once we go across now I'll use a little brush right there, clean up our canvas there, and I'm gonna go across, create another guideline, 1 inch up, go across, lower my lever quarter way, one notch I mean, and then I'm gonna go across again, almost to the same spot, lower my notch halfway, and I'm gonna go halfway up now. It's almost faded out right there. I don't even need to come in with a trimmer now, because on this side it seemed to have faded even easier. Just fading out that bottom line. Just stay below the original guideline that you made with your half. That's your half guideline right there. And the half guideline, you take it out with a half clip. So I come back with a half clip right there, and I'm just gonna go drag it across that shadow right there. See that? As I drag it across, doesn't go away, so I lower my notch quarter way. And you can see that I kind of do it all instinctively. It just, to me, it just kind of like clockwork, and for you, it'll be that way too. It just, you know, you have to keep working at it. Just blending it all in, just making sure that it's all nice and even. Oh, nice tight fade, guys. Nice tight fade. In case you guys are wondering, at my shop, we charge $27 for this haircut and beard trim. $35 if they have an appointment, you know. So I'm right here, I'm just consulting with the customer, and I'm asking him, you know, how he wants his beard, and he told me that he wanted to bring it down a little bit, so we decided is we're gonna go with a number two metal blade on it. So, you know, the fade's already done, so now we're moving on to the beard, and as you know, it's just like as I do in the fade. If you guys notice, I don't jump from side to side. I don't go all the way around the head. I like to work behind my customer on my mat. I think it's just a smarter way of working. Just keep in mind, don't work hard, work smart. You don't want to be all over. You don't want to be running around your customer. You don't want to be, you know, the less energy you exert, the less tired you'll be. Remember that. So just, yeah, what I'm doing right here is just working on one side of the face. I don't need to go to the other side of the face. So what I'll do, I'll always do this when I'm working on a beard. I'll work on one side first, and then I'll go to the other side, and I'll match it all up. So right here, what I'm doing is just hitting it with a number two, getting it all nice and even. Nice. Once we get it all nice and even, then I'm gonna come in and I'm just gonna line it all up. And as always, this is where I start my beard trims. I always start off right there on the sideburn, just nice straight line right there. Nice straight line, and then from there I'm gonna bring up the jaw. Always start off in the middle. And that's going to be my first guide right there. And from there, just try to get a nice straight line right down the jaw. You could, you know, there's just different ways. It just depends on how the client wants it. This one, he wanted more like on the bottom, like a chin strappy, a little bit higher. I could have went a little bit lower, but he wanted it a little bit higher under the chin. And then once there, I'm going to line up on the cheek. And right there, I'm just gonna kind of lightly line it up. I'm not really lining it up, because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come back with a straight razor and hit it with a straight razor right there, just to sharpen that line up. Because that line on the cheek right there, when you sharpen it up with a straight razor, it makes the beard pop out a little bit. So right there, I'm just kind of lining it up lightly. And the sideburn right there, I'm still gonna fade out that sideburn, so it fades into the fade on the side of the head. But that's pretty much it for the beard trim right here on this side. See, I'm just trying to get the little long hairs up so that when I'm not gonna hit it. I'm not gonna hit the bottom with a straight razor, because if I do hit the bottom with a straight razor, then in my shop I consider that a hot towel shave. So in that situation, I would lay the customer back, put a hot towel on them, put shaving cream, do the whole hot towel shave. This is a beard trim. In my shop, a beard trim, you don't use a shave. You don't use a straight razor under the neck. You can use it on top of the neck by the cheek, but not under. That just takes more time. So right here, what I'm doing is just, now that I'm here, I'm fading out the sideburn. So basically what I'm doing is I'm starting with my number one clip, lever open. Then I closed it to number one. Then I took off the clip. Now I'm going with no clip, lever closed. And then as I move back downward, I'm opening my notch one notch as I slowly move downwards. And that fades it all out. That made sense, I hope. But this side of the face is pretty much done, as you could tell. Now we just got to match up the other side. But what I did is I got my half clip right there, because remember I started off with the number 1.5, and I went with the half close. Now we got to go with a half clip. Same thing as the reverses as we would the fade, but you got to do in reverse order, going downward when you're doing the beard. It's a little trickier, but once you get the hang of it, man, it just, you know, it makes the beard work a little bit nicer. And this gentleman right here is a frequent customer of mine, but he actually, you know, of all the years I've done him, this is the first time I've ever done his beard. He's never really had a beard, so it's kind of new to him. So he wanted to really try it out. So I decided to jump in there and do this for him today. He was on his way to Vegas anyway, so I figured, you know, make it pop out. He was gonna actually try it out, see if his wife liked it, and if his wife liked it, he was gonna keep it for Vegas. So I gotta still ask him about that, but I think it came out good. So right here, we're just lining up the other side now. Same thing. We're just basically lining up the beard, taking it all down to the number 2, all nice and even, so it matches up to the other side. You can always see my guideline right under the chin right there from when I started on the other side. So we'll follow that same guideline and cut it across the same way. Keep it nice and tight to the jaw. But first, I always start off on a sideburn, like always. You'll see right here, I always this is my starting point when I do beards. I just feel that if you line up this first line straight, it incorporates everything else together right there. That's always my first line on doing beards. Make sure that sideburns nice and straight. Then I'll come back down here where I created that other guideline, and what I'm just gonna follow that same guideline and follow it down along the jaw. If it seems a little bit crooked, it might be, but I still kind of clean it up at the end too again. Remember, this is kind of like the rough draft. Once I do the go in there with the Braun Series 9 and shave it all up, I'll make sure that it's nice and straight. And you know, right here is kind of like creating the first rough guidelines of the lines. And then after I come back and hit it with the Braun Series 9 and smooth it all out, sharpen up the lines a little bit, make it look a little nicer. And remember, guys, most people, when you're in this part right here, I would always suggest that you run your clipper around the ear, inside the ear. If they have hair on the ear or around the ear, it's always a good time to take care of that maintenance. Same thing right here. If you see a nose hair sticking out of his nose, I don't know about you, but I always turn my machine around and take those nose hairs off. It's one thing I can't stand is nose hairs, and neither do the customers, and neither do the customers better have. So it's better to take care of those. Part of the service. So right here, pretty much done with the beard now. We lined up the lip, lined it up under. Now we're gonna come in with the Braun Series 9. The Braun Series 9 is just gonna take it all nice and smooth. Get it nice and clean right there, right under the bottom of the chin. Again, if I was gonna do this with a straight razor, then I would lay him back, put a hot towel on him, some shave oil, do a complete hot towel shave on him. Not for the beard trim. It's just done with the machine only. But I'm still gonna shave on the top by the cheek, but that's an automatic for me. I feel that line is nice and sharp. It makes your haircut look that much nicer, and you know, it just makes it pop more. So right here, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna shave the sides of the head. This was a straight razor shave on the side of the head. When I do a straight razor when they do a razor fade in my shop, there's two ways of doing a razor fade. You can either do it with a straight razor, or you could do it with a shaver. 90% of my fades that I do with a shaver. But there's that 10% of customers that still request a straight razor shave on the side. Carlos happens to be one of them, so that's why I'm hooking him up right here. But he likes the feel of the straight razor, and there's a lot of customers that do, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. Some kind of customers like it. So when they do request a straight razor at my shop, I always end up finishing it off with the Braun Series 9 afterwards anyway, because even with the straight razor, I feel that, you know, there still leaves a little bit of a stubble there. And what the straight razor that I'm using right here, I am using a feather, SS feather, with professional feather blades. So in case you guys don't know about those, there's a description there's a link in my description, and those are excellent blades, but super sharp. Be careful. So right here, I'm just using my straight razor, and I'm just, you know, shaving it down. As you guys can see, you guys really can't tell right. This is a kind of a bad angle. I should have picked a better angle. But when I start my initial line, guys, when I do my razor fades right here, I kind of create a guideline with my shave cream. And from that point on, when I start going down, I always use this little wiggle motion to start my line. That way it doesn't create a hard line. You don't want to create a hard line with a shave, with a straight razor, because that's the hardest line to get out. You won't get that out even with a trimmer. You have to go back with a straight razor. And you can see right there on the side, I kind of created a little shave line with the straight razor. I'm gonna have to go back and clean that up. But right there, I'm just kind of cleaning it all up, shaving it down, real simple. Right here's a way better angle. So right here you're gonna see me coming with my finger. Look, I create. That's my little. That's my shave line right there. That's where I'm gonna start my shave. Go down. See that little wiggle motion? Come down that way. It doesn't. When you do the little wiggle motion like that, you will not create a line. See that? That's so you don't create a line coming down. There's ways of getting that line out. Don't get me wrong, but it just makes your haircut a little bit harder to do. Again, once I'm done with this, I'm still gonna go back and double hit it again with the Braun Series 9, and the reason being is because I feel that it leaves the haircut that much nicer. It just leaves it that much smoother. So right there, I'm gonna come back with my Andes, and what I'm doing is any line that I might have created with a straight razor, I'm gonna take it up with the Andes GTX right here. And what I do is I lay the blade down and I just scrape that line, you know what I mean? Drag it across, just clean it up. No lines. You don't want to be leaving lines, guys. And right here I'm just doing a little bit of detail work. Going back with the fade again. I saw a little bit of a shadow there, so I put my half clip on. Probably the lever closed. I could see the levers closed, and I'm just basically raking the center shadow, making sure that there's no shadow there. Nice and tight, guys. Nice and tight. Always nice and tight. Super tight fades. I'll keep them coming back, guys. Remember that super tight fades keeps your customers coming back. When you give a customer a super tight fade, he will notice when that hair grows out. At my shop, when I do fades, all fades, any kind of fade, if a customer asks me for a 0, he's gonna get shaved. And most, like I said, 90% of the time it's with a shaver. Here I come in with a shaver and I'm just gonna clean up the bottom. If I run my fingers through that, I can still feel a little bit of a stubble. This is gonna just take it all up and make it nice and smooth, that much cleaner. That's a super tight fade, guys. Super tight fade. Nothing's left there at all. You could run your fingers through that and it'll be super smooth. That's what you want to have on a fade. You don't want to have any kind of stubble. If you do super tight fades, guys, I guarantee you what happens is that when the hair does start growing back out, they're gonna automatically realize, like, oh man, it's growing back out, it's time again. Usually when customers like this get haircuts, they have to come at least every 2 weeks. I have customers that come once a week religiously, so you know it's kind of a maintenance thing. It's like a male maintenance thing, you know, and that's what you want to create. You want to create that tight fade that when the hair starts growing out and it starts sticking out, they're gonna notice and they're gonna say that, oh man, it's time to go again. And they create some kind of a schedule and they come back to you on a regular basis. Right here, what I'm doing, I was just finishing up all the last final detail spots of this haircut. We already shaved it. We went back with the Braun Series 9. Right here, I'm just like running the machine, making sure that there's no shadows that are not they're not making it. No, you don't when you're doing a fade like this, you don't want to leave shadows. Shadows and lines is the worst part about it. And right there, just going back with the Braun Series. Braun Series 9. Just cleaning it up, making sure that it's nice and smooth. All detail work, guys. The fade part's the easiest part. It's just cleaning up all the detail part. If you don't do the detail part, then it makes the haircut look average. Especially on a fade. If you're not shaving the bottom of a fade and you're just leaving the fade without shaving it, then you're not gonna get it done right. So right there, I noticed that I hadn't shaved that side of the beard yet. So first, what I did is I went with my one lever open, then I closed it. Number one. Now I took off the clip, lever close, and I'm working it down. As I work it down, I open up my lever. Now I'm gonna come back in with a half clip. No, that's the number one again, and I'm basically just fading upwards. Because remember, we went with the number 2 on the beard. So now that I'm done with the beard, this is the final part right here. Now I'm going to come in with my straight razor. And I'm just basically going to line up that line right there. Just make that line nice and straight. And as you can see, that's what makes the haircut pop right here. This little line right here, if you just come in with a straight razor, you don't even have to really apply shave cream. If he has smooth enough skin, you could just come in and create that little line right there. And that's what makes the haircut look nice. It makes Makes the sides pop right there. It makes him Vegas ready. Again, guys, I appreciate you guys watching our videos and subscribing, and you know, if you guys have any comments, you guys have any suggestions, you guys want me to any kind of videos, any type of haircuts that you guys want me to do a video on, I encourage you guys to participate and join in, and let me know if you guys want me to talk about any certain subject in my vlogs. Remember, I vlog about 3 times a week. I drop tutorials in English and Spanish. So you know, Big Al's Barber Channel is just here to help for the very low price of $3.99. So if you guys have any questions and you guys want to talk about barbering. So now we're just closing out this haircut by the last final details right here, just hitting everything, making it all nice and even on top with that number 1.5. It's just the final steps. Always double check your work. Make sure that just make sure you stand in front of the customer, make sure that everything looks good, because when you hand him the mirror, that's what he's gonna see. And at the end, as always, I always end my haircuts with a little bit of smell good. Again, guys, that's it for this haircut. We appreciate you guys watching. I encourage you guys to subscribe to our channel. Again, if you guys want to buy any of the products or machines that I use, remember I left links in my description. Again, keep grinding, guys. Don't give up, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Grind on.